Christopher, man, thank you so much for taking the time, visiting us here at Truist Park. Is your first time at Truist Park?
It is my first time at Truist Park and second ever MLB game, so I'm excited.
Okay, what was the first one?
So I was fortunate enough to throw out a first pitch at a St. Louis Cardinals game. It's been several years ago. That was back in 2017. So, yeah, I'm excited. Truist Field has been something, obviously, I've heard a lot about, and it is a beautiful, beautiful facility.
We appreciate that, man. I have to know, how did the first pitch go?
It went. I don't know. I thought it went good.
If you didn't go viral, then
you're
you went fine.
exactly right.
Yeah.
So I've thrown out a couple now. I did the St. Louis Cardinals game, and then I did a. Oh man, I can't remember. I've done two of them though, and anyway, both of them have made it to the catcher, which is really good.
That's great.
My family has made fun of me because I don't I don't get my leg into it, but I'm like, hey, the harder I'm going to throw that thing, the more likely it's going to be to go anywhere. So, but yes, I can pitch and catch pretty good.
Okay. If you were a Major League Baseball player, what position would you want to play?
I think with some practice, I could be I can't be a pitcher, but with some practice, I would like to be a pitcher. So, as a kid growing up, grew up in Oklahoma, so loved football, loved basketball, played quarterback as a kid through elementary school and a little bit into middle school. So I feel like pitcher would be at my speed.
I love that. I love asking, like, especially when we get athletes from other sports in here. I love asking that question, and nobody ever is like, I think you're the first pitcher I've gotten, which I love.
That is interesting.
That's great.
That is interesting.
It's usually center field or shortstop.
Okay.
So it's good to finally have a pitcher in here. I love
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, we recently played a baseball game up at Bristol, the Speedway Classic.
I heard about that.
Mother Nature wasn't too kind to us, but the spectacle of it all was pretty amazing. Seeing a baseball game happen in that track was it was unreal. We loved it. Loved every second of it. So let's flip that. Could NASCAR potentially work in a baseball stadium? It's pretty tight confines.
I got a question for you. Are you aware of 16th Street Speedway?
No, I'm not. 16th Street Speedway.
16th Street Speedway was an old dirt track in Indianapolis.
Okay.
It was on a baseball diamond. It was a baseball diamond that they turned into a racetrack. So
Really?
NASCAR, which I mean, even NASCAR now, we raced in the Coliseum in LA.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't put it past them. But there has been a dirt track on an old baseball diamond. So yes, I would say that it is possible.
I'll be darned. So I didn't know that. I remember watching.
You'll have to look it up now.
I will look it
16th
up.
Street Speedway. Yes.
Okay. I remember watching when Dale Earnhardt Jr. had that Lost Speedway show. I watched the couple
Yep.
seasons he did
Yep.
that. And there was a stadium, but I think it was in New Jersey that had been kind of, I think it was a baseball stadium and then sort of a racetrack.
Yeah.
I've not heard of 16th Street. I love looking up old racetracks. Like
It's
that
a
too,
good
so
one.
that's-
It's a good one.
Cool. I did love that you brought up the Coliseum. NASCAR, kind of with MLB going to Bristol, NASCAR has been doing a lot of that the last few years of kind of finding different and unique venues
Absolutely.
to bring the sport, which I, as a longtime fan, I've very much enjoyed it. I feel like the Roval was kind of the start, and then dirt tracks at Bristol, and now street racing. So San Diego next year, going to be amazing, I think. Is there somewhere, is there a city or a street race or some unique venue, like just for fun, that we'd like try or love to try racing at?
So I think the LA Coliseum it really opened up our world to where we can go, and I would absolutely love to take our sport to different places across the globe. Like I think of the NFL going to London. They just had a game in Sao Paulo or something.
Yeah, or it's somewhere in Brazil.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like, how cool would that be to be able to take our sport and be able to create a racetrack in one of those stadiums and, do an oval race? I know there's a lot of road courses around the globe, but there's not very many ovals. So having that ability to be able to build a track and inside a venue, I think is really, really cool. So I would love to see us get, a little bit broaden our horizons and get outside of our comfort zone a little bit more. And I applaud NASCAR for doing that. And, you mentioned Chicago and San Diego. And the dirt race at Bristol, that's definitely outside their comfort zone. So it's been really cool to see them, attempt different things. And I think sky's the limit for the schedule.
Well, last time NASCAR was here in Atlanta, you had yourself a pretty good weekend. That was in the midst of 3 in a row, I think it was.
Yeah, unfortunately, we had another race after that didn't go quite that well.
I'm sorry.
Yes, it was amazing in the spring. It was amazing in the spring.
Last year's schedule. I forgot the second race got moved up to July this year. That's right. Well, still, back to the original of my original question for Atlanta was just how do you like coming to the race here in Atlanta, especially with the new the new style of racing we've got here?
So the old Atlanta Speedway was I always called it my favorite track. It was so slippery. Like the asphalt had degraded so much that it just disintegrated the tires, and it felt like you were driving on ice, only doing it at 200 miles an hour, and it was so thrilling and so much fun. So that there had been a lot of talk about reconfiguring and repaving, and most of the drivers like no, and then they did it, and now fast forward a couple years later, we have several races on the new track, and I can honestly say it's still in my top 5 favorites. It is so much fun to be able to have the style of racing that we do at now Echo Park Speedway. It's just phenomenal. And every race that we see there is just you just never know what you're going to get. It's a mixture between super speedway style racing of Daytona, Talladega, and the traditional intermediates like Texas and Vegas and places like that. So you get the drafting, you get the pack racing, but you also get the element of being able to control your own destiny a little bit more than Daytona, Talladega.
Okay, yeah, we love it down here. I mean, I'm biased. I've always loved Atlanta Motor Speedway, now Echo Park, as you said, but the newer configuration has been, as a fan,
amazing. It's been amazing.
You can't turn away from watching it. It's pretty amazing. So I know baseball fans, hardcore baseball fans, obviously, are our primary listeners here on Behind the Braves, and they probably know or have a pretty good idea of how a baseball player trains, what the training goes into it, the conditioning, batting practice, so all the elements, just the physical part of getting the body ready, and then also preparing like in the cage and whatnot. So for a NASCAR driver, for folks listening to this who maybe don't know much about NASCAR, what is your training regimen and routine like to stay prepared? Because you guys, I know back in the day when my family was still involved in NASCAR, it was guys were losing, 10 pounds of water a race. Yeah. Pretty intense. So what kind of training does a NASCAR driver go through?
So that's a great question and a great topic, really. I'll start by saying that it has come a long ways, and even the 5 years that I've been in the sport, I'm a relatively young guy in the sport, but even looking back at, the early 2000s, driver fitness really wasn't a focus point, and really, I think Jimmy Johnson was kind of the turning point of understanding that, hey, if you put a focus on physical fitness, it can pay dividends and elevate you above the field. And new age NASCAR, where we are today, everything is becoming so similar. We have this car now called the Next Gen car that every manufacturer, every team has all of the same pieces. And so the cars are coming closer than ever, and you're looking for advantages over your competitors, and driver fitness is definitely an area that still, it's a place where you can find an advantage at. So, Toyota's been really, really strong on that over the last, 5-6 years of tapping into the driver fitness and understanding what it takes to be a professional race car driver. And they've done a really good job of creating a staff, we have our own gym for drivers only that's managed by coaches and trainers and dietitians and nutritionists, all these people that are focused on what the race car driver needs. And what the race car driver needs is very different than what the pit crew member needs or the mechanics need or an MLB player, NFL player. So, yeah, it is evolving quickly, and it is an area that can be a really big advantage over the competitors.
That's super, super interesting. I love learning about that kind of stuff. When we go down every spring to our spring training site in Florida, us that work in the front office, that's the one kind of time of year where we're using the same cafeteria that the players do. They stagger it, so we have our different times throughout the day. But it's so interesting to go in there and see how it's all laid out, because it's all laid out in English and Spanish for our players of here's what's on the menu today, but here's what you need. If you're doing this, you need this, you need this many portions. And it's super interesting how intense they are with that. Well, speaking of athletes, you brought up the pit crews. I think maybe a lot of casual or not even folks who don't know NASCAR, but listen to this show might not know. Pit crews are, these days, they're all athletes, and in a lot of cases, former college athletes? I mean,
yeah.
Just for the baseball fans listening, what does a pit crew consist of these days?
So just like driver fitness, the pit crews have evolved very quickly as well. And So back in the day, all of the pit crew members that go over the wall and change the tires, they were just all mechanics that worked on the cars at the shop. Their 9 to 5 was mechanicking the cars, and then whenever pit crews or the team started realizing how valuable the pit crew members are and those pit stop times are, they're like, hey, what happens if we get X athletes that can run around the car faster, that may have faster hand-eye coordination or better hand-eye coordination, and we've seen pit stop times dramatically decrease as we've gotten more X athletes into the pit crew roles. So nowadays, the pit crew members and the mechanics are two completely different groups of people that have different skill sets. And yeah, absolutely. I mean, my team itself is one of the veteran teams on the grid, but it's full of ex athletes and basketball players, football players, baseball players. That's who's making up the NASCAR industry of pit crew members now.
And for those listening who maybe don't know NASCAR, I mean, a half a second on a pit stop is an
everything.
eternity.
It is everything.
It's kind of like for baseball terms, it's like a mile an hour on a fastball or an extra, like the spin rate, all the things, all these in-depth stats we use in baseball. And mile an hour is not in depth, but we get pretty deep with it sometimes. But even the most minuscule little thing makes such a difference at the plate. And it's the same thing with a pit stop. Even a tenth of a second that matters.
Yeah. So over the last 3 years, the pit stops have with no car changes. The cars are the exact same for the last 3 years, and the pit stops have dropped from 10 seconds to now we're pushing 8 seconds. So 2 years ago, if you had a 10-second pit stop, you would either be maintaining your position or gaining spots whenever you came down pit road. And nowadays, if you have a 10-second pit stop, you're going to be negative at least 2, if not 3, 4 positions on pit road. So, the pit stop times are so tight, and it is walking a tightrope because you're putting the pressure on your athletes to change the tires as quick as possible. Well, if you don't get those tires on properly, or the lug nut, there's only one now.
That's still weird for me to get my head around.
If it's not tight and that wheel comes off, it's game over. So we are putting incredible amounts of pressure on these pit crew members.
So my dad raced at the Cup Series in the '90s, retired in 2002, and it was
who was that?
Rick Mast.
Okay.
Yeah. So he a few years after he retired, he and I were talking one day, and I was like, "What do you miss anything about? Or what do you miss most about it?" He goes, "A lot of it I don't miss. A lot of the stuff around it." He goes, "But when they would say, 'Driver, start your engines,' I miss that. I miss that feeling." And then I've thought about that a lot over the years because I think about particularly starting pitchers. On their day to pitch, a lot of them, not all of them, I don't want to say they're all the same, but a lot of them on their day to pitch, they're kind of locked in and they clear out the rest of the world. It's all just that.
Makes sense.
And I felt like that was my dad's way of saying, like, when it was driver start your engines, it's all the obligations, all the other stuff outside, all the podcast interviews with the baseball guy, all that stuff's done. And now I can just focus. So is there a moment for you, like when it's race day, where everything else just clears out and it's just that job ahead of you?
So you say that and it like literally just the light bulbs on in my head. I'm like, I know exactly that feeling. Yes. So our race days are just filled with a lot of obligations and meet and greets and autographs and interviews, stuff like that, and even to the point to where pre-race you're about to strap in the car, you're taking sponsor pictures, you're saying hello to all your friends and family members that come, and then finally you get in the race car. And then once you get in that race car, you get driver start your engines. It is only you and that machine, and nothing else matters. So it hits home for sure.
How did you first get interested in racing as a kid?
So I have a very unique story compared to most in the NASCAR Cup Series right now. I grew up in Oklahoma, and there is no NASCAR racing in Oklahoma. NASCAR was never on my horizons, never thought it was going to be a possibility. There had never been a Cup Series driver from Oklahoma before me.
Really?
Yeah, I was the first one.
Yeah. Okay.
So there was a heavy presence of dirt track racing in Oklahoma, and my family was into sports. I think I said I grew up playing basketball, football. My dad was a basketball coach. Loved the Oklahoma Sooners growing up in Norman, Oklahoma. So I wanted as a kid to be a basketball player, football player. As it turns out, I'm not very tall and I'm not very strong. So I picked the pick the right sport, but it was a family friend. A family friend took me to dirt track races whenever I was a kid growing up. And then I was fortunate enough that my parents took a chance and rented me a car at a dirt track, and I did it once and fell in love with it. I'm like, man, we should do this again. And then I just remember every time that I raced, I liked it more and more and more and fell in love with it. And then it got to the point to where, you're in high school, teachers are asking you, like, what are you going to do in life? Are you going to go to college? Where are you going to go to college? And I'm like, I want to race. And so I devoted my young adulthood to dirt track racing at the time. And yeah, I got fortunate enough to get paired up with Toyota, and they brought me to the asphalt side.
That's awesome. So this is a super kind of cliche and easy thing to say, I guess, but I've learned this just from now work, like a lifelong baseball fan, lifelong NASCAR fan, but also being able to see both close up. It's given me appreciation, even though I'm not the one participating in it. It's given me appreciation for just how hard it is. Not only how hard it is, but to win at that level is so hard. I mean, I think about the best baseball players on earth, like the best hitters, they're failing 70% of the time, literally.
That's pretty in line with what we have too.
Yeah, it's the same thing, right? Like
Yeah.
there's 40 of you guys on average, give or take, every week, and only one of you gets to win. And then, so when you and your team, you go on a run like you did earlier this year, you win 3 in a row, I think it was, because everything has to be clicking, and then there's probably a few breaks that need to go your way. What is that like when you're in that stretch where it's like, man, everything is just rolling perfectly?
Yeah, it's those are the days you dream of. That is for sure. And I go back to the 2024 season. Our performance was the best that I've had in my short Cup Series career. But we weren't able to win races at the end of 2024, and ultimately that cost us a shot at the championship. I go back to Las Vegas Motor Speedway. It was in the round of 8, where if I were to win that Las Vegas Motor Speedway race, I would have clinched myself into the championship event. And I had the dominant car. My car was faster than everyone else's in the field. I had dominated the race, led all the laps, and I got beat because somebody, Joey Logano, he stretched it on fuel and didn't have to make a pit stop, and I did have to make a pit stop, and he outsmarted us that day, won the race. So you have days like that just prove how hard it is to win in the Cup Series. And then going to 2025, it's just going our way, man. Like like you mentioned, you got a couple breaks, you get and a couple races that slipped away in 2024. We got repaid a little bit in 2025, so it was really cool, really special time.
I think that 22 car has a little extra gas in somewhere.
He's got,
you don't have to say it.
He's got a magic reserve in there somehow.
And I will say, I'm teasing. His spotter, Coleman Presley, and I have known each other since we were kids, but seriously, I think he's got a little extra gas in there.
Yeah.
Anyways, no, listen, man, we appreciate your time. Hope you have a great time at the ballpark tonight. My wife and I went to the first Talladega race earlier this year. We're hoping to catch you at Dega again this year. Man, best of luck in the playoffs, and hope to see you at Phoenix in November, man.
Absolutely. Should be a good one. Thank you.